The Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's who measures inflation. They track goods and services throughout the economy, and it's based on an average, right? We have inflation that really affects how Social Security is adjusted every year. Social Security, every single year in October, there's an adjustment, a cost of living adjustment, and it's actually based on something called CPIW. A lot of times people coming into our office are saying, hey, inflation is going up by X number, or X percentage, but I have to spend a little bit more than that based on my spending habits. Why is it that my Social Security benefit is only going up by a certain percentage when we know that we're spending more than that? So there's been a huge push for CPIE. Simply means anyone over the age of 62. And a very real example of that is healthcare costs, right? Spending when it's related to healthcare. CPIW, on average, it's like 5.5%, right? But CPIE shows an 11% spending on healthcare related expenses. So what does that mean for you? Retirees, people who are in and nearing retirement, just on average, it's no secret. We're going to spend more on healthcare related costs. And CPI, at least CPIW as it's used for Social Security, in many cases, it's just inadequate. It doesn't take into account actual spending for those that are in and nearing retirement. Obviously, inflation's hitting everybody, right? Everybody's affected by it. One of the things Trey and I were just talking about is what does that look like, and how are Americans actually able to pay for the cost, right? The cost of inflation. How are they coping with it? And unfortunately, one of the things we've seen is credit card debt. It's at an all-time high, right? Savings at an all-time low. You know, we've added so many jobs to our economy. Our economy is doing great. But in reality, a lot of the jobs that we've seen are for people who've already had jobs, right? They're getting a second or third job to help pay for the cost of inflation. They're giving up their leisure to do it. And it's actually not a sign of a healthy economy, at least from what we see on a daily basis and what a lot of the numbers support.
You know, one of the things that I've found is that when we're sitting down with clients and the families that we get to serve, I would say the last 2.5 to 3 years, the amount of clients we have that are significantly increasing their distributions because all of a sudden that $3,000 from the IRA plus their Social Security and the pension is no longer covering their expenses. And they're not just increasing it by 2-3% like we've seen in the past. You know, they're increasing it by 10 and 15% because of the things they're purchasing, and they're falling behind. Some of the other things that we see practically is, you know, the decisions our clients are making, and it just doesn't make sense. So one of the things that we're definitely seeing is not just the challenges at the grocery store, but even in a lot of these big decisions of downsizing their home or upgrading their vehicle in the first year of retirement, like they've planned for 20 plus years.
We actually just got a number from Fox Business, right? According to Fox Business, 8.7 million Americans, it's a record high, hold multiple jobs today to make ends meet, right? Just something that supports that, right? It just shows that inflation isn't something that most Americans can get by just by doing what they've always done, right? Most people just have the job. Maybe they have the specific career that they're in. And it's really just had a huge effect. How has the advice changed today where interest rates are as high as they are and a 3% mortgage or a 2.65 in some cases we've seen? Like that almost sounds like free money, right?
Yeah. I mean, when we sit down with people today, it's so much different than it was 12 to 18 months ago because the conversation was your mortgage is at 3 or less. If you keep that money in the market, we're going to continue to average, depending on your risk level, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. So here you're making money on your money to keep your mortgage. And we still had people pay the mortgage off because the peace of mind was worth more than the money they were making in the market.